So today we are going to cover everything that there is to know about managing and maintaining your passwords and good password practice. So we're going to cover 4 topics here. We're going to cover making your password complex, what that means. We're going to talk about passphrases versus passwords. Another core concept we'll talk about is how unique your passwords need to be. And we are also going to talk about password managers. So if you've never heard of a password manager, we are going to go very broad and describe what a password manager is and kind of give some tips and tricks on getting started with one. So let's talk about complexity. So complexity is key. It is the most important thing that you can do when it comes to your password. So there are 2 essential password rules to consider when creating a password. That is length and complexity. So the longer a password is, the stronger that password is going to be. You are always going to want to have a combination of lowercase letters, uppercase letters, numbers, special characters. And typically the websites or the accounts that you create are gonna have stipulations about what sort of characters you should have in your password or not have. So definitely follow the guidelines for the account creation, but as a general rule of thumb, try to include all of those things in your passwords. Never use a generic word like password. That seems really silly to say, but people in this day and age still will use password as their password. Also, don't use sequential numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in a WKU context, we have your WKU ID and your PIN that can be used to get into TopNet. You wouldn't want to set your PIN to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's just such an easy thing to guess. Another thing that people do that they may not realize is a bad thing is to never set your password to the same thing as your username.
Give me your login. War Machine Rocks with an X, all caps.
So you do not want those 2 things to match, and that is another common thing that people will do with their passwords. And you also never want to use any information about yourself that can be found in the public record. So, if you have your birthday public on Facebook, it's probably not a good idea to set your PIN for TopNet to be your birth date, right? So the PIN for TopNet is 6 digits. So if everybody knows what your birth date is and you set your PIN to be that, that'd be a very easy thing to guess. So you're thinking, okay, great. Well, I hear you, Kaylee. I need to make a complex and super long password, but those are the ones that are really hard to remember. I cannot remember, a bunch of random numbers and letters and, special characters. So we're going to cover the topic of a passphrase, and it's kind of a newer topic that people are sort of hearing about. And passphrases are not only easy to remember, but are unique to you as well. So let's take a look at a random set of numbers, letters, and characters. So that first password there, that P, %9, lowercase y, that is not going to be easy to remember. And that would take approximately 90-something centuries for that to be cracked by a machine-based password cracker. Now, if you're looking at the password below, logic, dash, finite, dash, eager, dash, ratio, those are words that somebody has chosen, put some dashes in there, and that actually is a little bit longer to crack with a machine-based password hacker, but it's much easier to remember. So if you're having to pick a password, keep in mind that passphrase concept. So I've given some examples to kind of spark your mind on this. So the first one, let's say that you are a pizza lover and you've always wanted to own a Tesla, and 18 is your lucky number. So you could have pizza, maybe add in some special characters by removing the A to be an @ symbol, or in Tesla, the E to be the number 3, and then it's added on those numbers at the end. The other way that people use techniques for passphrases is to use the first letter of a word in a phrase. So that second one there is I love Big Red. So uppercase letter, lowercase letters alternating. And then something that another concept that people do is called padding. So that's kind of creating patterns with special characters. So that's just the between the % sign and the ampersand, it's that little symbol on the number 6 on the keyboard, and then that's just a lowercase v. So that's another example of padding. That second one, that's kind of more tried and true of what you think of when it comes to a passphrase. So you've got Gads has the best donuts. And instead of spelling out donuts, I used some special characters to try to make a little donut there. And Gads absolutely does have the best donuts. So when you are creating those passwords, again, yes, creating something that you think when you look at it is secure, yes, like that first one looks very, very secure, but you're never going to remember that. So when you are creating one, definitely keep in mind, okay, this needs to be something that I can easily remember and recall to. So now we're at the point where you're like, okay, Kaylee, I get it. I know how to make an easier password, but I'm using that password on everything. And so we need to talk about that. Your password should always be 100% unique 100% of the time. So this prevents all of your accounts from being compromised if one is. So let's say that you and all of us are guilty of this at some point in our life, having an account on a website. So let's say your bank account, your Twitter account, and your Facebook. A lot of websites force you to use your email as your username. So you can't really prevent that a lot of the time. But if you use that same password and some website gets hacked and your password gets leaked and you've used that same combination, then anybody who is malicious and has that information can go and try that combination of username and password on another website. So even if you don't have super complex passwords, if you don't reuse your passwords on all of your websites, you are really being the most secure that you could be with that. So please, if anything, do not reuse your passwords, and definitely don't reuse your passwords if you are using the same username. All right, so now you're thinking, okay, well, great, Kaylee, you taught me how to make a passphrase to make it easier to remember, but then you tell me, well, I can't use that passphrase for multiple things. And I get it. It's crazy to think about how many accounts that we have. Like, thinking off the top of my head, I have all of my WKU accounts. I was also a student, so I have a WKU student email from when I was alumni, along with my staff email. I have my personal Gmail account. I have my bank account. I have my health insurance account. I have all of my social media accounts, all of my shopping accounts, Amazon, Target. So, it can be very overwhelming to think about the number of accounts that you have. And then when you think about those numbers, then you think, oh my gosh, all of those accounts have the exact same password. So just think if your password was leaked, how many accounts somebody who is malicious could get into. So something that is really becoming more popular is using a password manager. So password managers are programs which are designed to remember your password for you. So you can take away all of the work of trying to remember all of those different passwords, and you only have to remember one master password. So it is a program that is going to store all of your password in all of your accounts. And it also, depending on the password manager that you go with, can generate those passwords for you. They also can have web browser plugins to go ahead and automatically fill in your username and password field. Now, if you're using a good password manager, your passwords are completely encrypted and the company itself cannot even access your passwords. And so that has come up before where maybe you forgot your master password and you didn't quite set up authentication methods that the website recommended. So like, let's say if you went with LastPass and you didn't set up a two-factor option, let's say your cell phone. So we're all familiar with, let's say Facebook, and you can set up what you've heard, I'm sure, two-factor authentication. So when you sign into Facebook from a new computer, it might text you a code that you have to enter in. So let's say you don't have that set up correctly on your password manager. They cannot recover your passwords because they don't even have access. So it is the most secure thing that you could do with your passwords. It also allows you to have super complex passwords without even having to remember it. And you also don't have to go through and manually set passphrases and try to keep track of all of those passphrases to all different accounts. WKU ITS doesn't recommend a specific Password manager, we can't assist with that since we don't host those systems, but a lot of us have personal use and personal experience with password managers. Myself, for many years, I have used LastPass. I know some people who use 1Password or even Dashlane. And what's really great about these is a lot of them are free. And so you get very basic options completely free or even for a trial. So I recommend going out, looking at the different options that are out there. If anything, do a trial, see how you like it. I absolutely love LastPass. This isn't an endorsement or anything. We get any kickback. But for example, I have a web browser plugin for LastPass. So when I open up my browser, all I have to do is type in my 1Password to get into my password vault, and then it automatically fills in my username and passwords. It also has a mobile app. So when I'm on my phone and I'm trying to sign into other applications or I'm on websites on my phone, the app itself can recognize, oh, hey, you're trying to sign in and this is your account credentials for it. So it is very, very easy to use, and they have a lot of great instruction material on that website as well. So, as an overview, you need to make sure that you're making complex passwords. You need to make sure that every single password that you are making is different. And the best way to keep track of those passwords is in a password manager. It's not writing it down on sticky notes or writing it down in a book. And it's not putting it in an Excel spreadsheet and saving that to your computer. The best thing that you could do is use an encrypted password manager. And luckily, there are a lot of options that are available for you. Now, let's say you're thinking, okay, all right, you're right. I need to reset my WKU passwords. So we have a web page I'm sure all of you are familiar with. It is available 24/7 on our website. You can also reset your passwords from the iWKU app, and you are always welcome to give us a call at the ITS service desk. We'd be more than happy to walk you through resetting all of your passwords as well. So that is what I have prepared today, as a quick overview of Password Management 101. I am going to go ahead and close out our session today. Please follow us on Twitter and definitely tweet ideas at us as well. I do post when the next episode of Technically Speaking will go live. And again, thank you for joining us.